So let's just start with a quick, just introduce yourself, what's your name, and a little bit of background if you want to give it.
My name is Bret Herholz. I'm a youth art instructor, a comic artist. I'm the author of 5 books published through Alterna Comics out of Levittown, New York, and I'm a youth art instructor at the Worcester Art Museum. I teach a lot of their cartooning, comic art, pen and ink, anything to do with cartooning or comic art. Well, there's a good chance I'll be teaching it.
Do you do the 24-hour comic thing? Or?
I've tried it. I've never had the stamina. Yeah.
Okay. So my first question is, when did you first start making comics? What's like the first comic that you can remember?
I started really with comic strips. I started, I had my influences being stuff like the Peanuts and Walt Kelly's Pogo, and much later Bloom County, and a lot of the early ones I wanted to be sort of a comic strip artist.
So the next question then, it kind of, you were just talking about it a little bit, but how have your interests in comic books changed or evolved?
What's that?
How have your interest in comics changed over time?
It started to change, with a lot of the comics I was reading, and a lot of the artists I was getting into. It's like I started kind of falling out of doing sort of strip comics around high school when I started reading a lot of more of the sort of Batman, Spider-Man, X-Men sort of comic books. So that kind of led into my second wanting to, led into me wanting me to do, sort of comic books, and it hasn't really died since, but it sort of evolved with the different artists. My style itself sort of changed when I met my instructor, Patrick Welsh, who sort of inked in very much the same style as I do, and I just find a lot of, I was just very influenced by that.
Great. Are there common themes or like recurring messages in your stories or your works?
I'm not sure. I mean, that's actually a good question. I suppose it's like a lot of my stuff is like humor. I think a lot of my stuff, especially my earlier books, Diary of the Black Widow and Spaghetti Strand Murder. If you like Agatha Christie, Conan Doyle, and Monty Python, it's sort of a nice little amalgamation of those three. So it's like I think mystery and humor are my 2 big themes that kind of reoccur in a lot of my work.
And so, do you write and draw them, or do you work with other authors?
For the most time, yes. I'm actually working with a couple authors right now, but a lot of my past books have either been books I've sort of had written myself, or books I've been adaptations of other people's work.
Great. And all right, this is a good question. But what have you learned from reading comic books? What are things that comic books taught you?
You can actually tell you can tell some really good stories in comics. Most people wouldn't immediately think that. They think comic books are only a certain genre, and that's just not true. I mean, stuff like Will Eisner's work is kind of, or even Frank Miller, or I'm trying to think of a few other, Dave Simcerabis, and a lot of the ones like that, take the medium of comics and sort of give kind of an interesting approach to it that isn't the usual superhero in spandex sort of books.
So a level of complexity you wouldn't necessarily realize is there.
Exactly.
Yeah. I only really have one more, and that is, how does living in Worcester, or just kind of the community in Worcester around the comic world, how does that affect your work? Is it a positive thing? Does it not really matter?
I think it's somewhat positive, because I've met a lot of really cool artists. A lot of them are here tonight, and just a lot of the ones I've met through like the artist groups and the Worcester Art Museum, and even the down at That's Entertainment, I've made a lot of friends that are just very talented comic artists, and I think that helps me to want to even make my work better.
Great. And let's see, any future goals for comics you want to share with us, or projects you're working on now that might be exciting?
World domination? No. Actually, I'm working on a couple books right now. It's like it's sort of in the infancy right now, but I'm working on a couple books that with a couple authors that I'm really hoping come to fruition.
And do you work on multiple projects at the same time, or is it kind of one at a time?
I try to work on multiple projects, but it ends up becoming just one project. So, but I'd like to do that, to sort of try to do 2 books at once, without like going crazy.
Yeah, it's hard to keep track of all that stuff. Well, I guess that's it. That's all I came up with. So, thanks a lot, Bret.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.